Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 32 of the Zoomer Sports Radio. And as always, I'm your host, Andrew Moody. And today I'm joined by a special guest. He is currently ranked number 7th in the Cubs system as the number 7th prospect. And please welcome Kohl Franklin.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Thanks for coming on, Cole. So, pretty much, how was this season so far? How was your lack of season?
It was really weird. I mean, you couldn't really do much. I mean, it was pretty much basically all on you. If you got the work done, it's on you. If you didn't, it's on you. So I mean, I kind of like that because I take a lot of pride in getting my work done and having a good work ethic. So I think it can really separate a lot of guys from kind of going to the next level just because of the fact that some people wouldn't do their work, and I know that I was doing mine. So I mean, it was weird though. Overall, it was terrible just because of the fact that we didn't get to play. No really adrenaline, no fans. I didn't like it, but overall, I got my work in, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in not having a season because my high school year was canceled, sophomore season was canceled. And going back to like your high school days, who was your biggest role model growing up?
Like overall, or like pitching.
I mean, both overall and on the mound, on and off the field.
I would say my biggest role model growing up was probably my dad for sure off the field. Uh, just because I mean, he's pretty much the one who taught me about baseball. Like, I got to go places that I wouldn't think I'd get to go because of him. He's an agent, and so I was able to like go in some big league locker rooms. And when I was really young, and I was introduced to the game at a really young age. And so I have to say he is definitely my role model, like growing up. But pitching wise, I have to say Nolan Ryan probably, just because of the fact I love the way he pitched, the bulldog on the mound. That's kind of what I liked about him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I never got to see him play, but man literally pitched until his arm blew out. Because, yeah, that story where he literally just like got off the mound and walked back to the dugout and he was done. He retired.
Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have a very interesting like growing up childhood. You had a lot of battles you had to overcome. When you were 7, you suffered from spinal meningitis. At 12, you had to have surgery on both your ankles. And then when you were junior in high school, you were diagnosed with hyperthyroidism. Did I get that correct?
Yes, yeah, correct.
And then how have these challenges shaped you as a ball player and as a person today?
Um, as a ball player, I think it helps with my mentality of just knowing that baseball is very a short part of your life. I mean, like medical, that's something that will never go away. And so, kind of being able to defeat those and overcome those kind of shows me that I'm here for a special reason, and God put me here to do something special. And so that's kind of how I looked at it. Because I mean, if spinal meningitis, that there's so many people who lose, hearing, eyesight, and so I was just thankful to be one of the ones who kind of was able to get over it. And so I think that just shaped me kind of have just a different mental aspect on life, and just to be thankful every day and take every day for like never take a day for granted.
Yeah, so I was on YouTube, obviously doing some research for this episode, and I noticed like in an interview, I think it was like with one of your local affiliates down in Tulsa, Broken Arrow. It felt like a plate was dropped on your chest.
Yeah. So that's kind of when I figured out I had hyperthyroidism, like agility stuff, like ladders and stuff. And after I got done, I was like, I was like just I couldn't breathe, and I would start getting sick, and I couldn't breathe, and so I was like panicking, and I'd go home every single day and take like a 5 hour nap every single day. And so finally, I went and got my blood drawn. And like a regular like thyroid levels at a point 0.5, and mine was at a 23. And so like it was, and my doctor said it was like 2 weeks away from being like fatal.
That was a close call for sure.
Yeah, no, way too close.
So, what was it like growing up in Broken Arrow, and how was the recruiting process in high school for you? Because obviously, you ended up signing with the Cubs over, I believe, Oklahoma.
Yes, correct.
And so, how was it like growing up in the Broken Arrow, Tulsa area? And I have a friend's reference here. Chandler Bing calls Tulsa the Paris of Oklahoma.
You know how people say that Tulsa is the Paris of Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is. But it was good. It was really good. I never went to school. I always had my boys around me. So, uh, but it was really different. So I'm originally from a place called Spiro, Oklahoma, which is like 3,000 people. And I moved to Broken Arrow my 8th grade year for baseball, like strictly because my dad was really good friends with the head coach, and we just wanted to go like play for them. And so it was a lot different going from like a super small town where my class was like 60 people, and then in 2018 when I graduated with 1,300, and so it was a big adjustment, but I would say it's fairly easy. I mean, I kind of just kept my head down and did my own thing. And then when it comes to the recruiting process, it was pretty slow until about my junior year, because my junior year it's when I started growing a lot. I was like sophomore year, I was probably like 5'8" and like 5'8", 5'9", like 130 or something. And then my junior year summer, I went from like 5'9" to like 6'2", and started putting on a little bit of weight, but I was still super skinny. And then my junior year summer going into my senior year, I went from like 6'2" to like 6'4", but I'm still super skinny. And then kind of now I'm just starting to fill out, but I think I'm like 6'5" now. So I would say the recruiting process was kind of quiet until I started like getting bigger.
Yeah, so you're kind of like built like Carl Edwards Jr., the former Cub, very tall, skinny, and flamethrower.
I mean, he throws a little bit harder than me.
Yeah, so I'm actually curious. Since there's no, this is kind of a random question. Since there's no football teams in Oklahoma, were you a Cowboy fan growing up? Were you a Chiefs fan?
Yeah, big Chiefs fan.
Let's go, man. I also root for the Chiefs.
There we go. That's big time.
Yes, is Mahomes? Are we gonna win back-to-back Super Bowls this year?
Dude, I think so. I mean, as long as Mahomes didn't play like he played last week, I was like, that might have been the worst game I've ever seen him play.
Oh, against the Falcons?
Yeah.
I mean, Terrell, I mean, this is a little off topic, but AJ Terrell, he catches that ball. Chiefs lose that
Yeah,
game.
exactly. That's why I was like, it shouldn't have been close at all.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the issue in the NFL. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, well, there's issues for defense, not for them. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning back in the day, Patrick Mahomes. If you give them a second chance, they will burn you.
Oh,
And that's clearly what happened in Atlanta.
yeah, exactly. That's why they're so good.
That's why guys like Mitch Trubisky are just not good. Yeah, so also going back to your decision to choose the MLB route with the Chicago Cubs over Oklahoma, how much of an influence did your dad have in that decision, especially since he was a baseball agent?
Honestly, he kind of left it all up to me. He kind of like took himself out of the situation. It was like, whatever you feel is best for your career. He's like, this is your career, not mine. And so he kind of just let me have like the free reins to kind of pick what I felt. And like it was really tough because I was really close with the coaches at OU. I kind of known them for a while. One was the White Sox scout before he was a coach at OU, and so I've kind of been around him. He's been around my family, and I really thought the biggest thing for me was knowing that I'm mature enough to go live on my own and start my career. And then another big thing was like 3 years that I'd be in college would be 3 years getting kind of acclimated to a minor league like organization and all. And so that's kind of how I made my decision. But my dad really just took himself out of it and kind of just, it's like, it's up to you.
I mean, do you think there's an advantage? Because a lot of guys, I feel like now in this day are going to university and college to play in the 3-4 years there instead of going the pro ball route. Is there some sort of advantage? And guys are committing really early as soon as sophomore year. I mean, we have a guy at my high school committed to pitch at University of Central Florida. So guys are committing pretty early. Do you think there's an advantage going straight into the pro ball?
I mean, like I said, I said the organization, and you kind of get there at a younger age. They're hands on when you're younger at 18, and they just get to know you more when you're younger and kind of mold you, and to where college dudes you can go in and you have less time. You're just like your overall like baseball frame is like very short.
Yeah, like a guy I have a good example of like maybe where the college route wasn't such a good thing for him was Brandon Finnegan. I don't know if you know the name. He pitched at TCU. He was in the College World Series. Actually, the only guy to pitch in the College World Series and in the MLB World Series in the same year. He got drafted by the Reds, I believe. No, he got drafted by the Royals, and he was sent over to the Reds in the Johnny Cueto deal the year later. But he pitched in that deal, and his career kind of has not really bounced off. His peak was in college, basically. So,
Yeah.
would that be a big reason why go into pro ball and let the pros decide how you mold you into the player you'll become?
Yeah, pretty much. That's like you kind of just get acclimated with everyone. I mean, I feel like usually the professional programs are better than the college programs. So getting in there with them earlier is just better for like injury prevention and just better long term.
When you were drafting the Cubs in the 6th round. You started in Eugene, I believe, the Emeralds.
Yes.
I just had to say, they have the best hat in minor league baseball with what that Bigfoot on it. I actually have one of them in my room. I don't have it down here with me, but I have a hat in the room. I bought it when they were at Cubs convention. Fortunately, that's not. You might have been there this year as a prospect if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think don't they just bring the 40-man guys up there? That's what I thought.
But I mean, they maybe now do, but I remember like Nico Horner was coming up as a prospect, but like back in like 2014, they would bring Chris Bryant, Albert Almora, Schwarber, all the young guys because that was the future. So I noticed less and less, but like Miguel Amaya was up last year. I don't know if he was on the player pool. I don't know if he was on the 40-man. So it could have been.
I mean, that could have. Yeah, maybe. I really have no clue.
I don't know. I mean, I have a question for. I mean, do you love that fan interactions, especially that you missed this year? Because like some big guys, I don't know if they really enjoy it. But like, what is your thoughts on those like fan conventions, just interacting with the fans?
I love it. I mean, that's pretty much what you play for. I love like getting to meet new people because I've always been like a really outgoing. I love people, and I mean I love it. I mean that's what kind of gives me adrenaline to go pitch, and it's kind of what you feed off. That's what that's what I really missed about this year. Is just I hated not having like the fans there.
It was pretty tough. It was very weird to watch as a fan. Artificial noise.
Yeah.
No fans in Wrigley Field. I mean, before this year, the only time there had been no fans in the stands was that game in Baltimore versus the White Sox. Still strange to this day. I hate seeing no fans in there. And are you a big autograph guy when you play?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that kind of reminds me of that because everywhere I went with my dad, I always like, oh my god, yeah, I want an autograph from this guy, so I know how it feels to be in that position, so I try to go out and sign every autograph I possibly can for somebody because I know sometimes that'll make their day, it'll make their week, it'll make them happy. I mean, that's the biggest thing I like making people do is making them happy.
Yeah, I love getting autographs. I always get to the ballpark early for I mean, I'm starting to get into that age where I might be too old for some guys to sign, but I'm still gonna try. But I always go early, try to get them to sign, and a lot of guys sign, a lot of guys don't sign. And I assume do you sign when you start? Because I notice a lot of guys don't, because they in the moment, in the zone, they're just blocking out everything. So I assume.
Yeah, the days I start, I really don't do anything. I mean, I barely talk to my teammates on the day I start. Honestly, I'm like, locked in on like going out and like doing my job. So I don't sign on the days I pitch. No.
I would assume because that's like most guys. Like when I go to Cubs games, most of the guys I get are like the bullpen guys, and some of the Chris Bryant normally signs like right before the game.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's one of the things I've missed, especially no Cubs convention this year, is the fan-player interaction. And what actually is like really prevented that is these extended nettings for safety. It's right around the dugouts is where you would sit for autographs and like balls end of the inning. I mean, obviously, I understand it for safety, but I really do miss that interaction up close.
Would they bring him past? And they brought him out past like the third base? How is it? It's past the duck.
It's different at every stadium. Like White Sox and Nationals, it's all the way to the foul pole. At Wrigley, it's just to the end of the dugout. At like Fenway Park, it's up to like where the field jets out.
Yeah.
So it's different at every stadium. I actually like how they do it at Kauffman Stadium where the Royals play.
Yeah.
And they have it where at dugout they have it like it's built like Kauffman Stadium. It's like built in curve. So like as like the further you go down the dugout, the less height the net is. I really like that. You can still throw balls and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like that's what baseball needs is just more fan interaction.
Yeah, I think that's what it's missing compared to the NFL and NBA. Like I don't see guys like Juju Smith in the MLB out there interacting with the fans on TikTok and stuff, out there dancing. Obviously, he gets a lot of hate from the old guys, but I think the closest like representation would be Trevor Bauer in the MLB.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, he was because they kind of they say what they feel on social media, do their own thing. Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's young people draw to that. So I really like Trevor Bauer. Juju, I don't know if I really like him because he can't back up his talk sometimes. Trevor always can because that's why he was the Cy Young winner.
Exactly.
And then I got a question. Your former team, kind of the Eugene Emeralds, are no longer an affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, and I don't really like this move. It's by the MLB cutting minor league teams. I think that ruins a shot at a bunch of guys' chance at the MLB. Do you have any thoughts on MLB cutting minor league teams and unfortunately the Eugene Emeralds just not making the cut for the Cubs?
Yeah, I loved everything about Eugene. I love the staff, the owners, the managers. I loved everything about it. So that does kind of suck a little bit, but just because of the fact that they're such great people and they're not with us anymore. But overall, like kind of cutting teams, I'm kind of 50-50, like either way, just because of the fact that I feel like there's so many players in minor league baseball, and there's so many like there's like I said, there's so many people like, and it's like it takes forever to grow, like to grow into like to be a big leaguer. It's a long road, and I feel like shortening teams just kind of shorten that path, and I think that would be good. But then again, it cuts a lot of jobs for a lot of people. That's the only thing that I'm on the fence about.
And then a lot of these like teams are in ballparks in small towns, and like that sometimes drives their main tourism and economy. In like say Clinton, Iowa, you've probably never heard of that, or you've probably played there maybe with South
Yeah,
Bend.
Midwest League.
Yeah, the Clinton Lumberjacks or like the Cedar. I think the Cedar Rapids Colonels are still there, but a lot of
Yeah.
teams like I really miss like those small tucked away ballparks off a highway or something. Like Tennessee's like that where the Smokies play.
Yeah.
I love the minor league feeling. I assume you do. You play in it.
I love it, dude. I love it. I like because like we were talking about, the fans can be so much more into it with the players because like you get more interaction. I feel like in the minor leagues, where the big leagues, there's so many people. There's you can't really talk to a lot of people. There's too many people there. So I mean that's what I kind of like about minor league stadium. There's a lot of people, but then again, there's not enough to where there's not enough people to where like you can't go out and like talk to somebody.
I totally understand that. And then in Eugene 2019, you pitched very well. You had a 2.31 ERA, 49 to 14 strikeout to walk ratio, 39 innings pitched. Very good. You had a whip of 1.154. That's very good. Like, what led to your major success in Eugene? Was it yourself? Was it the coaches? Was it your teammates, or a mix of everyone?
I would say a mix of everyone, but I'd say the biggest thing is kind of I think success is a pretty big mentality, and so I always go into things like I go I like I said I always say this, and I have a different like mentality when I'm on the mound than I am off the mound. Like on the mound, I literally I feel like the batter's trying to take something away from me. They're trying to take my job away from me. So I look at them so much more differently than you're like hanging out with them after the game. And so I would say mentality is just, I think there's one of the biggest things that kind of helped me last year or last season we got the pitch. Just because of the fact I feel like I just go out there and I'm like, I'm not gonna let this dude take something from me.
I totally agree with you. I feel the same way when I pitch
Yeah.
at the high school level, travel ball level. I'm just out there competing. I want to win. that's just what you got to do. You just got to be a gamer out there on the mound.
Absolutely.
And then, so we're going to talk about this 2020 spring training. So pretty much, I want to know is how did it start? Like, it started like a normal spring training? I would assume. I've never been in that situation, and then all of a sudden it got abruptly canceled. And how did you adjust with like your new season, quote unquote, in quarantine? And just how did you continue to develop your game?
Yeah, so everything started out like a normal spring training. Like we got there, and then it was when I think it was Rudy Gobert who like.
Oh, Rudy, yeah, touching all the microphones and stuff.
And so the day we found that out, like NHL canceled their season, and then we all get a text from like the Cubs guys and like, don't come to the field tomorrow. Like we're gonna try to see what the deal is and everything. And then eventually they're like, all right, well we need y'all to come by in these little pods and get your stuff and go home. And so we go home, and then we had like so many Zoom calls during the week, kind of just like talking about how we still got to get our innings in, but it's gonna be like non-competitive, like you're throwing bullpens pretty much. And so they give us like a player plan, and like for me it'd be like a throwing program every single day where we were doing bullpens every 5 and 6 days. And so the biggest thing I really worked on was like my curveball and kind of just getting like more easier, like more repetitive with it, and not and less mechanical. And so that helped me a lot. And so I would say the biggest thing that is that's what I worked on. And so I was kind of happy with the work I put in during quarantine, and I'm really ready to kind of go out and show it.
I believe it was on the Cubs. I forget who they were playing, but it was like Wednesday, March 11th. I was watching it. You guys were on Marquee Sports. Like, I believe it was March Madness. The NCAA just made the decision they would not allow fans in the stands of March Madness. And I believe like an hour or two later, they canceled the tournament as a whole. And you guys are playing 9 innings. I don't remember the team. I want to say maybe the Cleveland Indians, but I'm not 100%. But like, there's just like, I just hear a hum around the ballpark right when that happens. I don't know. Were you in the ballpark during that last game, or were you out in the facility?
I was in the facility. Yeah, it was like because like well we also got to leave a lot before when the big leaguers were playing, so like we didn't have to go over there, and so we like throw our bullpens, lift while they were playing, and so we kind of didn't really stick around. We just like got our stuff and got out.
They canceled it. You guys were pretty much. I talked to Mark Payton, who plays for the Reds in the big league club, and he said you guys were pretty much locked out of the facility, couldn't go in after you left. A lot of guys were stuck out in Arizona. Were you stuck out in Arizona like, say, Ian Happ, Nico Horner were, and they started their podcast, or were you able to make it back to Oklahoma?
I got to go back, and so there was I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, and then I saw you built a mound in your backyard.
Yeah,
like you're not necessarily built it. You put a mound in there and you had to play. I believe you worked with an Oklahoma University catcher.
Yeah, well, I was at Princeton University catcher, but there was a guy. His name's Cade Cavalli. He was a Nationals first rounder, and me and him were throwing together. And Princeton was the one catching us.
Yeah, because I saw in that news report, it was a very slim portion of your yard, and you were just able to fit a mound in. I was very impressed.
Yeah, we had to do some handy manny work.
Handy Mandy, that's a throwback to an old
handy manny.
Yeah, did you watch the show growing up?
No, I watched Bob the Builder.
Yeah, that was what? Yeah. PBS or Nick? It wasn't Nickelodeon. It was PBS, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was PBS.
Hey man, what a throwback! I wasn't expecting that.
I was big Little Bill, Scooby Doo, and Bob.
All right, this is a conversation I thought I'd never have. Talking about cartoons with a pro ball player.
And well, I watched the Power Rangers. I love the Power Rangers and a lot of WWE wrestling.
Well, who is you were a Stone Cold Austin guy? What are you?
Ray,
who?
Ray.
You cut out again. My bad.
Oh, Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Pat McAfee guy. He just joined the NXT.
I have, yeah. I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, Pat. The radio host, former Colts punter. I don't know. he was a former NFL kicker or punter. He just joined the NXT WWE's like newest brand. But yeah, it was probably Stone Cold Austin with the beard throwing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that dude's an animal.
Yeah, WWE, I mean, that looks like it hurts.
Dude, it got intense until I realized that it was fake.
Yeah, like it looks fake, but it still looks like it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't understand how they do it.
And then, so moving back into the baseball and out of cartoons and wrestling, where do you see yourself in 2021? Do you see yourself perhaps back with South Bend or in Double A with the Smokies? And what are your goals and what do you want to accomplish in this 2021 season?
I don't really know where I see myself yet, just because the fact that I haven't been really put all together with the organization for a while. So, but my goals, I mean, I've always kind of had the goals of I want to make the futures game. That's probably my biggest goal, and then just kind of get to the point where I can be more, make smaller misses. Make smaller misses, and I would say make the futures games probably my top two.
That's a good one. There's a lot of great Cubs that have been played in the futures game. You got Baez, Bryant, I believe, played in it. Who was in it a couple years ago? I think Gleyber Torres was on the futures game for the Cubs.
Yeah, Amaya.
Yeah, Miguel.
Adbert, I think.
Oh, Loza. Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking like he's going to make the rotation on the club. And I'd say you're probably your biggest rival or your biggest competitor for that is probably Brennan Davis. Your teammate, yeah.
That dude's like my brother.
Yeah, he was actually on another podcast with some guys I know. They host the podcast. He was on their show. So I listened to that. You could check them out. They're Superfan Sports if you want to check him out on his podcast. So I got another question for you about the baseball world. So MLB.com has you ranked as the number 7th prospect in the Cubs system. And like they predict that you make your major league debut in 2022. Do you ever look at the media and what they say about you, or do you just kind of like block that out, like the Aaron Rodgers commercial where he puts on the beats and everything disappears?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really look too much into it. Just because the media says something, predicts this, it doesn't happen. I still got to be out there. What people, you're the one that still got to go get the job.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with you on that one. Just who is your biggest who would you compare yourself to in the MLB today, like in today's game, like pitching wise?
So with the Cubs, we have like actual comparisons with people, and mine is Chris Paddock with the Padres, and so I mean I think that's a pretty
good comparison.
Yeah.
Personally, has anyone ever said you look like Zach Plesac of the Cleveland Indians?
No.
I kind of see it.
Okay.
The hair, yeah. His just blonder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I will say it. I was like, I don't know. It's just our hair's curly.
Yeah, Zach actually he's works at some of the pitching facility I go to, so I've gotten to meet him a couple times.
Awesome, yeah.
So I just noticed, yeah, you guys have like the same hairstyle. So I was wondering if anyone ever said you look like Zach Plesac.
Yeah, no. Not really.
Yeah, so moving on. Yeah, so Chris Paddock, definitely a great player. I'd want to be definitely compared to. I mean, he's a young up-and-coming rising star with the Padres who look like they're going to go win the World Series after going to get Blake Snell. And unfortunately, Yu Darvish, probably one of my favorite guys on the team. I was disappointed in that trade. I just hope they don't trade Contreras. I'm sure you don't want them to trade Contreras because you want to be throwing to him in the big leagues one day.
Yeah. No, there's been a lot of. I mean, the Padres have absolutely stacked up. I mean, the money they've spent this offseason has been unreal in the past 2 off seasons.
And yeah, AJ Preller, their GM, is a very, very risky and like non-frugal GM. If he wants something, he will go out and get it.
And like the weird thing is, like they had what, three people debut in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like they were calling dudes up like nothing.
yeah, it was like that Browns offensive tackle who just
Yeah.
got called up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is even funnier because he's actually that tackle. Because like Baker Mayfield said before the game, he introduced himself in the locker room. He's like, "Hey, my name is, I believe, Blake," and that was that. That was a pretty funny story.
Yeah.
What's even funnier is that he's actually from the same hometown my mom is from, which is a town in Illinois, which has about 15,000 people.
Wow.
Jacksonville, Illinois. It's a very, very, that's a very strange coincidence.
Yeah, that is weird. That's crazy.
And then this will be the last question. I feel like unless you have anything you want to add, what would be your advice to guys, say in high school, younger guys who are maybe going to go through the system? Like, what would you be advice from, or maybe guys just how to deal with this wacky season? Like I just been told the IHSA, Illinois High School Sports Association, said they might start baseball games on March 8th in Illinois. And if you know anything about Chicago weather,
it's freezing.
It's going to be 25 degrees and snowing on opening day. So just what advice do you have for younger pitchers and younger ball players?
My advice has kind of always been the same. It's just, I mean, you can never work hard enough. There's always going to be someone behind you, someone more hungry, and you have to outwork that person. There's always going to be someone pushing you for your spot. And always there's going to be someone trying to take your position everywhere you go. But the harder you work, the further you separate yourself from them. And so just work hard. And like I said, don't take a day for granted. Every day is a blessing.
All right, great advice. I'll definitely take it. I also just thought of another question. I thought it's a very good question. So you said you were working a ton on your curveball during this pandemic season. What is your favorite pitch? What is your go-to pitch when you need to get a guy out?
When I need to get a guy out, change up for sure.
That's my pitch too. That's my go-to pitch when I need to get a guy out, change up. How do you grip yours?
Let me see if I got a baseball around here. All right, I do. 1 second.
That's pretty.
All right. So I hold my change up like two seam, and I hold it's a circle, but I hold it like kind of off center on the seams.
Yeah, a lot of guys teach like the circle have your middle and ring finger on the seams.
Yeah, I found one kind of differently.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that one out. Maybe put some more action on it.
Actual pictures, because I would say like it's definitely my go-to pitch.
Yeah, that's I love that. I love the change up. Definitely, it will hurt your arm less than the curveball.
Oh yeah, you don't do anything, just grip it and throw it.
Yeah. So I would just like to thank you for coming on the show today, Cole. It was an honor to have you on, and I'd like to wish you luck for the 2021 season. And Cole, where could the viewers and listeners find you on social media?
At KohlRF on Twitter and Instagram. It's KOHLRF.
All right. You heard the man. Go drop him a follow. This has been episode 32 of the Zoomer Sports Radio. Remember, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, at zoomer.sports, and as always, here on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Once again, thank you, Cole, for coming on the show. This has been episode 32. Thank you for listening.